Welcome to Do This, Not That, the podcast for marketers. We share quick tips, things you can do right now, and then we add a little bit of chaos at the end of every episode. We also keep it short, like this intro. Let's check it out. We are back for the Do This, Not That podcast, and this is it. This is the most special episode. We've done over 600 episodes, and easily, this is the most special episode that we've done. I'm going to tell you who we have here, but it's not about his background or his resume. It's about something else entirely. So let me first tell you who we got. So we got Jedd Fisch, Coach Jedd Fisch. He is the head coach of the Washington Huskies. It is one of the most high-profile programs in the entire country, and he's been part of this massive transition into the Big Ten. And he's coming off of a great year. Okay, the program did awesome. They went 9-4. They beat Boise State in the LA Bowl. And before that, though, he engineered one of the most dramatic turnarounds in recent college football history, taking the Arizona Wildcats from 1-11 to a 10-win season, top 25 national ranking. And his football resume it's ridiculous. He's coached under Steve Spurrier, Mike Shanahan, Pete Carroll, Sean McVay, Jim Harbaugh, Bill Belichick, everybody. But that's not why he's important. Maybe he thinks he's important because of that, but that's not it. Here's the real reason this is the most special episode. Jedd has been one of my best friends on the planet for over 30 years. I met this dude when I was 18 years old. He was the best man at my wedding. We've been through every ridiculous nonsense thing together. So I'm excited to have him on here. We're going to talk about adversity and life and all the things. This is really weird to say, but Jedd, welcome to the show.
Thank you. What an introduction, Jay. That was awesome. And it is special. It's special for me too, though. I will say I have been trying to get on this show for a while now, starting on episode 17. I've made it at 601. It sounds like there's been 600 prior. And it is great to be on here with you and be able to share some cool stories.
Oh my God, this is so strange. For anybody out there who's like, if it's a super tight friend and then you bring them into your work world, it's really weird. It's not a normal experience. But okay, I want to take everybody back for a second. So we're talking about adversity. And it's not just like, oh, Jedd lost a game and he came back at halftime and he won a game. This dude has been through stuff that honestly, literally would have killed most people, but also would have killed almost every career. So I want to take us back to something that happened super early on in your career. And you had the ultimate health scare disaster. Take everybody through what happened. And then I want to layer in some things that I saw happen.
Sure. So I think you're referring to the health scare of an aortic aneurysm that I had in 2003, not the broken hand I had in a swim meet back in 87.
Yes.
So in 2003, I was 26 years old. Yeah, 26. And Amber and I, who was my girlfriend at the time, wife now, were out jogging in Houston, and I felt like this massive knife went right in the middle of my back, and I couldn't understand what it was. I wound up kind of going down, getting back up, and thought that my back just went into really bad spasm. And that was on a Saturday morning run. And that throughout that day, the back never felt any better. And, I went into a hot tub, which wasn't very smart. I found out later. Sunday, I was waiting all day and just thought I was watching the final or grade 8 or whatever it was, watch the Gators play. And then Monday at about 5 p.m., I realized I was having a hard time breathing. So the back spasm was a little more significant than I thought. And I called a buddy of mine in Houston, and I said, hey, I need you to bring me to the emergency room. I was on the phone with our team doctor, and without being in the NFL at that time, I was dead. There's no question about it, because you don't have the type of concierge medicine back then as we have, and now more people get it. But he was following it all the way throughout, and he said, Jedd, you need to come in. And about 6 hours later, it was like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. They allowed me to stay in the hospital. They didn't want me to. And I called up Amber, and I said, hey, I think I'm having a heart attack, but don't call my mom. Okay, that was the big one.
By the
Two
way, I don't
hours
know if you
later,
remember this. You called me at 5:30 in the morning,
yeah,
and you said, "Tell all the boys I love them."
yeah. Well, yeah, I think it was, it got a little scary at that point between like the 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. shift, 2 a.m., where they brought in a surgeon came in and, you know this, you know my mom, you know
Yeah.
my dad very well. My mom asked for a second opinion, not the move to make when you're having emergency surgery.
Right.
So they said, no, this is the only opinion, and we're going in to get operated on. And I think the operation started probably 10 minutes after I called you. Um, and it wasn't a very safe operation. It wasn't one in which my aorta dissected all the way, really throughout by my heart, and then all the way straight down. That I had to do. They called it type 1 dissection. The Dr. Caselli, was world-renowned heart surgeon. He used the example that if it was hanging on by a string, the string was as thin as dental floss,
Oh my God.
to be able to survive the surgery, and had to have two of those. As you know, 6 days later, had to go back in for the second one. And I think I don't know if did you make it into Houston right
Yeah.
after the second one?
Right after it.
Yeah, and but it was wild. It was the first 5 days I was in ICU, so it wasn't worth coming in. And but very grateful. I do remember lying in bed and asking Dom Capers if I still had a job, and I think he said we'll worry about that later. Let's just
Well,
kind of survive this moment.
so, and for everybody out there, imagine you're starting your career, because this was really Jedd starting his career. He had just finished being a grad assistant with the football program at the University of Florida. Really, the lowest level you could possibly be in a football program. I mean, he was barely in the program. And then he gets his first opportunity with the Houston Texans, which was a new franchise. I mean, it was literally, there was no team really, right? And Jedd within the Houston Texans was the lowest man on the totem pole. Like, people probably didn't even know he worked there at the time. And then this all happens. And now imagine you're in your career and this is happening to you. It would take almost everybody else off course. I mean, Jedd almost literally like died. Like, he died multiple times on that table. But coming out of it, the thing that always struck me was, first of all, I came to see you. You were a disaster. I mean, the guy was like in rigor mortis. He looked like a mummy. He was walking around like a cane. It wasn't the guy that I knew from college that, we could crush a few beers together, right? But you maintain like a positive mindset. You maintain like, I want to get back to work. You like, do you just read like, Tony Robbins stuff every minute you wake up? How did you not let yourself go down a slippery slope?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing, Jay, was the people around me. Like, I actually did a podcast with David Carr last week, and we were talking about this. And he was the first player to come visit me. And you're 26, and we'll get into it a little bit about how I even got involved in coaching. But like, you feel like you're hanging on for dear life anyway, right? And now you're like, oh my God, this is like a real problem. Like, if I can't make it back, or if I'm not 100%, I have no chance. But David and Kylie Wong and Dom Capers and those guys that were like visiting, it made you feel like you did matter. Even though you knew you were on the bottom of the bottom, you were recognized and you were known, and the players cared. And that was probably the inspiration, was how much people cared about you. And I think anybody, you don't realize it until you go through something traumatic, about how many people are willing to check on you and see how you're doing. And that was my biggest inspiration, that like, wow, if these guys actually do know who I am and do care how I'm doing, then I have to get back and I have to do a great job.
It is really amazing. I don't think people realize it enough. I'm learning it more. I wish I realized it more early in my career. People are willing to help you. If you ask for help, people will help you in your career. And so, just to finish up that story, one piece of it, which I also always took something away from, was that, so maybe like a month or two after the surgery, I was getting married. Okay. And long before Jedd had his medical disaster, I'd asked Jedd to be the best man at my wedding. And I was like, well, Jedd's not coming to my wedding. I was in Florida, he was in Texas, and I didn't expect him to, because that'd be ridiculous. The guy literally couldn't, stand up and get to his couch. And so I remember I called Jedd. I'm like, Jedd, yeah, don't worry about it. You're my guy, but don't even think about coming. He goes, no, I'll be there. I'm like, what do you mean you're gonna be there? You can't be anywhere. You're not physically able to be anywhere. And it's about showing up for your friends. It's about being there for each other. It was a lesson that I learned that stuck with me the rest of my life, is that, when you have friends like that will show up. And he got his ass on a plane, whatever was left of his ass, he got his ass on a plane, and he showed up, and he gave just about the best man speech anybody ever gave. Because everyone's like, I'm listening to a guy who's half dead. I got to pay attention. So thank you for showing up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you for not cutting me out and then giving somebody else the job. I know there was a few of our buddies were probably trying to lobby for that spot.
Yeah, we're idiots.
Yes, but it was. Yeah, I guess I got out of the ICU April 22nd or 23rd, and I believe that your wedding was in June, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, it was a little tight turnaround. We'll call it a tight turnaround.
Yeah.
But you do everything you can, man. You do for the people that do everything they can for you. And I remember, just the visits from the, in the hospital, and I can't imagine like some of the crazy videos people sent, and like, I mean, sometimes you didn't want to laugh because it hurts so bad. Right. Like you're all like wired and you're laughing and you shouldn't be laughing. But the best thing about our friendship, our friends, our friend group, I mean, everyone makes everyone laugh, whether they make fun of people or make funny things happen. At least I would tell you the joy is what kept me going.
Yeah, and it's so great because also a lot of times, Jedd will be on TV coaching the game, and we'll just make a screenshot of Jedd and we'll text it to each other like, look at what he's wearing. He looks like an idiot right now. It's like no matter what, it doesn't matter where everybody gets in life. We're all still the same doofuses, which is amazing. All right, but I want to go back a little bit though for everybody that maybe feels imposter syndrome, because a lot of people right now, they're not in the football world, they're not in the sports world or any of that stuff, but in their careers, they're like, well, I want to break in. I want to be the head of social media over here. I want to start this business over here, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know anybody in that field. I know my parents weren't in that business. I don't know how to do that. So your crazy, wild other story is that Jedd's now the head coach of this major Big Ten college football program. I mean, one of the biggest programs in the country. The dude never played football. He's not like some former linebacker that did whatever. Okay. And it wasn't like he had a mom or dad that was on the Ring of Honor at some football stadium. Zero burger. So how do you break in? How do you feel the confidence to break in? How did you break in to the world of football?
Yeah. It's just what I wanted to do. I don't even know if there's a better way to describe it. It's like I had this mission and I was like, I'm going to Florida. My dad's a lawyer, right? You know that. My dad said to me, well, if you're going to go to Florida, like, what do you want to do for a living? I said, I want to coach football. He said, that is a weird answer. That is a weird. But I said, that's what I want to do. And he goes, okay, well, where do you want to do it at? And I said, I don't know, the best place where they have the best football coach. And he suggested, he goes, well, who do you think that is? And I said, Steve Spurrier at Florida. And I'm from New Jersey. And applied to Florida. And he's like, okay. And I tried to get every job. Equipment manager, a student assistant, worked in the training room. I tried every job that they let me do. I got none of them. I got turned down for every single job at Florida, as you know. I still went to school there. I said, all right, I'll try the fraternity route where we met.
Yeah.
But at that point, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to figure out a way. I didn't come to Florida to just be in a frat and just whatever, go to law school or whatever it might have been. So I started leaving notes on Coach Spurrier's windshield. Day in and day out. And I just kept saying, you know what? There's got to be a way. I went and I asked for a meeting. They said no meeting. I went and asked for another meeting. They said no meeting. I said, all right, I'll just keep leaving notes until there's a meeting. And I would show up there and I would leave something ridiculous. And I'd do a lot of work and I'd leave like an idea. And then I would send a note saying, This is how I think I could help. And finally, man, you lived it. I mean, it was like a year and a half later. I was coaching at PK Young High School. I took a high school coaching job. I ran into Dwayne Dixon and Buddy Tevens, and Coach Dixon's like, well, you can come and like work in my office when no one's there, and you could like, take a TV game of a football game, and then take another VCR tape, and you could put a play on a tape and then a play on a tape. And that's what I did. And then I became like the turn the lights off coach. Then I became, the make a photocopy coach. And then Coach Spurrier, I think he got my name right last year. No, I think so. I was Jebi, I was Jebby, I was you name it. But I'm like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to quit until I get a chance.
You see, I love that attitude, and that's what everybody needs to realize. You just have to keep pushing. And things will happen. It may not even be exactly what you want, or who knows, but it will happen. And the funniest part about Coach Spurrier, Jedd had to break in. Coach Spurrier wouldn't give him the time of day, whatever. Then you fast forward. I'm at Jedd's wedding, okay, years later, and Jedd goes, "I need you to, will you drive Coach Spurrier to the wedding from the hotel?" I'm like, "Great, I want to hang out with Coach Spurrier." So I drive him to the wedding. And then I'm at the wedding, and it's like the cocktail party or whatever. I'm at one end of like the cocktail party, and all of a sudden, I hear this voice going, Jay, come over, hang out over here. And I look over, I'm like, that is Coach Spurrier yelling for me to come over and hang out. And it went from Jedd leaving notes on this guy's car. He probably thought he was a psycho, to Spurrier like wanting to do like the Macarena at the wedding. I mean, it's amazing. It was amazing.
What's amazing now is like, you could never get away with that.
Yeah.
Like if someone was leaving notes day in and day out, you'd be like full on stalker, full on,
right.
You got police department everywhere.
Right,
back then it was just like partial stalker, but no one knew what the word stalker meant. So it was like, oh, this is just a weird guy, versus full on stalker. So like when people ask me, how do I break in? I'm like, not my way. Do not do it my way.
Right.
Chances are not in your favor. Find a different route. But in the end, the number one route is don't quit. I don't care what the route is. Just don't quit.
Well, speaking of quitting, I'm curious about something totally different route here. So before you were at a Husky, right, you were the head coach at the University of Arizona. And I could say this, you can't. It was a hot mess when you got there. All right. 1-11 situation. And you turn that thing around. I mean, turn around to a top 15 program in the country, win the Alamo Bowl, the whole thing. But for everybody else that's out there also, they may walk into a business situation where a company's not doing well, a department's not doing well. And now they have to convince everybody this new plan that they got is going to be the thing that really gets us going. So you're walking into this room with this group of guys that are 1-11. You guys are, nobody thinks you guys can do anything. How do you get everybody on the same page, buying into a plan when historically, whatever plan they've been doing was just not working at Arizona? How did you get that turnaround to happen so fast?
Yeah, that was an interesting one. The thing that I thought was the best part about it, so we go in there, the last game they played before they hired me, they lost 70-7 to Arizona State, right? And I got a call the next day, got offered the job a week or two later. I was coaching in New England. I went there, and I kind of took this philosophy of like, you can't tell me what you were doing was working. So we're going to try something brand new. We're going to have a different approach. The messaging on the walls are going to be completely different. Everything's going to look and feel new. We're going to change. The first thing we're going to do is going to change the offices, because we are not going to sit in offices that didn't have a winning record. We're not going to sit in offices that just had a 12-game losing streak. We're just not doing it. And then we go 1-11. So now the program is 1-23 over a 2.5-year span. And they're looking at me and they're like, you came in here and changed everything and you got one win. And I said, no, I changed everything for the future. We're just working through it right now. And we just didn't change our philosophy. We just stuck to it. We stuck to it. And we had 20 so kids that just bought into what we were saying. And that recruiting class, T-Mac, who's the number 8th overall pick, Noah Fafita, Jonah Coleman, you just start naming them, right? Anthony Ward, Isaiah Ward, you start naming all these guys, Price Sock and DeCario Davis. They all bought in, and they all just said, you know what? We believe in what your mission is. And I told our staff, we are not going to sell anything because we have nothing to sell. We're just going to tell them what we're going to do for them, and we're going to build a relationship, and we're going to make it totally transformational and not transactional at all. And we went 5-7 that year, and then we went 10-3 and finished 11th in the country the next year. And it was all about just relationships and belief.
Were there things along the way though that like you had to motivate yourself, because you're always motivating other people? Like, how do you wake up in the morning and be like, I'm assuming not every day you wake up and be like, yeah, hooray, another amazing day. How do you self-motivate, especially when you hit like a bump in the road, you lose a big game, you lose a player, you lose a recruit, how do you self-motivate?
Yeah, the hardest challenge for sure was, showing up thinking you're going to flip a program and going 1-11, right? Like, and staying positive and trying to make sure and realize that it's not, if like whatever I come in with, when you're the boss, whatever your personality of the day is or mood of the day is, it filters through the whole building, right? Your whole office, your whole company. Well, same with us. Like if I came in down, we had no chance because then everybody would be down. And if I came in ultra positive, we had a chance. So I just got into my car every day and I just told myself, like, the only chance I have to live my dream is to bring everybody along with me until I could start serving them one day. But right now, I got to just bring them with me. And just continuing to make everybody feel like, hey, this is going to happen. And when it does happen, I used to say there's going to be a 30 for 30 written about this one. And that was our messaging. And you go through ups and downs. And I think coaches are at their best. I think the best coaches are at their best after losses. After a win, it's not that hard, right? You got to be able to stay on top and keep them getting better and better and better. But how do you handle adversity? How do you handle defeat? And how do you not let the same team beat you twice? And that was our big message always.
Yeah, I think that positive attitude really is something, because everyone does feed off whoever is leading that department, that company, that whatever. So, all right, before we wrap up though, I am curious about something, because something that I'm impressed by you is you're very accessible. You have a lot going on. Okay. You definitely have a lot going on, and a lot of people have a lot going on, but you in particular have a lot going on, and you seem to you always make time for your friends, for your family. You seem to kind of be like, there's like 4 Jedds. He's kind of like all over the place in a good way. And are you intentional about carving out time for things like that? You say, listen, I got to make sure I touch base with my buddies. I got to make sure I do this, that, or whatever. Is that an intentional thing, or are you just rapid fire all day?
No, I saw this saying a while back that says, like, you could be on a really long journey, but it comes to a very fast end. And you don't never know, right? You could be going, boom, and it's over. And what happened to me, obviously, in 2003, like, that does still stick with you. And like, I would sooner, and my dad passed away at 63. My brother passed away at 53. So like, we're 49, about to turn 50. And you realize, like, when they were this age, our age, they felt like we feel.
Yeah.
They felt healthy and great and ready to take on the world. And then something happens and it gets taken. And then they don't have the next day. And I think that I just try to feel like if I don't spend time with my buddies and then I don't get to spend time with my buddies anymore, that would suck. Yeah. And if I don't spend time at work committing to trying to make this amazing and then we don't make it amazing, that would suck. And then of course with Amber and the girls, like, if I'm not a great dad or a great husband, then why does any of it matter? right? Like, so trying to balance it all. And then I believe that the program needs to be marketed constantly. I believe that our only opportunity to truly take it to, we're in the Big Ten and we're new there. We're far in the country, right? We're not close. We're not in the middle of the country. We're not in the Southeast. We're far Northwest. And like, you got to stay relevant. You got to make people still understand what's going on, and you got to have people see you, and the W's got to flash. And I was in the Caribbean a couple of weeks ago, and I'm walking down the street, and there's a dude in a W hat, and it's just cool to see people constantly. So we always are trying to be everywhere, and it probably wears myself down sometimes, but I think it's the most important thing.
Well, this was awesome. I don't want to say thank you because screw off. But this was we'll have to do a round two. There's just so much more nonsense we could talk about. And listen, man, you're my guy. I appreciate you. Go Huskies. Any parting words for the marketing world that's out there?
Well, I'm a little confused why you're not in costume. Some of these I've seen you've been in costume.
Yeah, I do.
I did have hot dogs available for a hot dog eating competition with Joey Chestnut if he jumped on.
Thank you.
But I do say this, Jay, you have done an unreal job of, changing the game in terms of social media, in terms of, the media marketing that you do, in terms of being able to get yourself out there. The TED Talks are phenomenal. I do enjoy those. I really do. I can't wait for your book.
Oh, yeah.
Where is your book?
Right here. I got a fresh copy. It's not out yet. April. Stupider people have done it. You ordered a lot of copies.
Amber's like, hey, Allie called. Jay wrote a book. So I bought 3 dozen. I go, what? How much does this thing cost?
Thank you.
So I'm fired up about all of that. Stupider people have done it. Is that the title?
That's it. You nailed it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, man. And you guys have definitely nailed it. And I would just tell everybody, man, my dad wrote this in my yearbook in high school. It is better to try and fail than fail to try and suffer the inestimable loss of what might have been. And that's how we live our life every day.
Great Jedd Fisch, man. A legend. And Jedd is a legend. All right, my guy. Appreciate you. We'll do it again soon.
Thanks, pal. See you.
All right. Wait, the party is not over. Go to jayschwedelson.com because I want to do stuff with you. I want to partner with you. When you click on the button, Partner with Jay, you let me know what you got going on. Work with my agency, work with me directly, get access to all of my free resources at jayschwedelson.com. And I got a book coming out this April. It's called Stupider People Have Done It, and all of the net proceeds are going to the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Go on Amazon, buy Stupider People Have Done It. That way you can help kick cancer's butt with me. And if this podcast wasn't the worst podcast you've ever listened to, it might have been, leave it a review, follow the show. You are awesome. Go out there and crush it.